What if I told you that the entire football landscape we know today hinges on just 5 secret transfers that almost nobody saw coming? Deals made in the shadows that completely altered the course of clubs, careers, and championships forever. The kind of transfers that if they had gone differently, or never happened at all, would have changed everything we know about football today. Have you ever wondered what really happens behind closed doors when the biggest transfers in history are being negotiated? What if the player you worship at your club was actually minutes away from signing with your bitter rivals? Today, I'm taking you behind the scenes of football's most secretive deals, the transfers that changed everything. And trust me, the last one will leave you speechless. Let me ask you, what would you do if you discovered your club's greatest legend almost signed for someone else? Because for millions of fans, that's exactly what happened. They just don't know it yet. In the high-stakes world of football transfers, nothing is ever as straightforward as it seems. There are secret clauses, midnight phone calls, and dramatic last-minute hijackings that the public never hears about, until today. Our first secret transfer begins on a rainy night in Manchester, where a young Portuguese winger was about to change the course of football history. Before Cristiano Ronaldo became the global icon we know today, he was just a skinny teenager from Sporting Lisbon with flashy footwork and questionable end product. What most people don't know is that in 2003, he was actually set to sign with Barcelona, not Manchester United. The deal was practically done. Barcelona's sporting director had flown to Lisbon, contract in hand, ready to secure the signature of football's most promising young talent. But what happened in the next 48 hours would alter the entire trajectory of modern football in ways nobody could have predicted. After Barcelona's representatives left Lisbon confident they had their man, Sir Alex Ferguson received a phone call that would change everything. It was from his former assistant Carlos Queiroz, who had just watched Ronaldo tear apart Manchester United in a friendly match. "Boss, you need to sign this kid immediately," Queiroz insisted. "He's special, truly special." Ferguson, intrigued but skeptical, made an impromptu decision that would reshape football's future. He diverted his private jet to Lisbon instead of returning to Manchester. While Barcelona's officials were celebrating what they thought was a done deal, Ferguson was sitting in Sporting's president's office, refusing to leave until the young Ronaldo was a Manchester United player. Barcelona woke up the next morning to discover they'd been beaten to the punch, and they wouldn't be the last club to experience such a transfer hijacking. But here's what makes this story even more incredible. Ferguson wasn't even supposed to be at that friendly match. He only attended because another transfer target, Brazilian midfielder Kleberson, was playing. If not for that coincidence, Ronaldo would have been wearing Barcelona's colors, mentored by Rijkaard instead of Ferguson, and potentially teammates with Messi instead of Wayne Rooney. Imagine how different football history would be. Would Messi and Ronaldo have become the greatest rivals in sports history if they'd played together? Would either have developed into the players they became? Would the Manchester United dynasty of the 2000s have ever existed? It all changed because of one rainy night in Lisbon and a split-second decision by Sir Alex Ferguson. But that's just the beginning of our secret transfer stories. What happens next makes Ronaldo's transfer look straightforward by comparison. Our second secret transfer rocked an entire nation and created one of football's most heated rivalries. In the summer of 2000, Luis Figo was Barcelona's captain and talisman, adored by millions of Catalans. What fans didn't know was that Real Madrid's new president, Florentino Perez, had executed one of the most audacious secret deals in football history. Here's the part that was kept hidden for years. Perez had approached Figo's agent with an offer that seemed impossible to refuse, but with a twist that nobody saw coming. Perez offered Figo a €2 million payment just for signing a secret agreement. Not even a contract, just a promise. The agreement stated that if Perez won the Madrid presidential election, Figo would join Real Madrid. If Figo refused at that point, he would have to pay Perez a €30 million penalty, an impossible sum for a player at that time. Figo took the €2 million, believing Perez had no chance of winning the election. It was free money, or so he thought. But in a shocking turn of events that Figo never anticipated, Perez won the election by campaigning on the promise that he would sign Barcelona's captain. Suddenly, Figo was trapped by his own secret deal. The football world watched in disbelief as Barcelona's beloved captain crossed the forbidden line to their most hated rivals. The transfer didn't just change two clubs, it fundamentally altered altered Spanish football forever, ushering in the Galactico era and intensifying the Barcelona-Madrid rivalry to unprecedented levels. What most fans don't realize is how close this transfer came to never happening. The night before his presentation at Madrid, Figo was so tormented that he nearly paid the penalty clause, despite it being financially ruinous. He made a desperate midnight call to Barcelona's president, begging for the club to help him pay the penalty so he could stay. But the response he received left him cold. "You've made your bed, now lie in it." The next morning, a devastated Figo held up the white shirt of Real Madrid, launching the modern era of football's most intense rivalry. But while Figo's move was public and dramatic, our third secret transfer was conducted with such secrecy that it blindsided an entire city. The year was 2001, and Sol Campbell was Tottenham Hotspur's captain, leader, and local hero. His contract was ending, and every major club in Europe wanted to sign him. Manchester United, Barcelona, and even Bayern Munich had made offers, but Campbell had publicly stated his loyalty to Tottenham. Behind the scenes, however, something unprecedented was happening. Arsenal, Tottenham's most bitter local rivals, had been conducting secret midnight meetings with Campbell for months. These weren't just casual discussions. They were full-scale negotiations held in board member David Dean's home, with Campbell arriving in disguise after dark. Not a single journalist, agent, or insider caught wind of what was happening. The secrecy was so complete that on the day Arsenal were ready to announce the signing, they told their own staff they were unveiling a Swedish midfielder named Lars Nyberg. When Campbell instead walked into the press conference, reporters initially thought he was just there to comment on Arsenal's new signing, until he sat down at the table. The announcement sent shockwaves through North London that still reverberate today. Campbell was instantly transformed from Tottenham hero to public enemy number one. What makes this transfer even more remarkable was how it changed the power balance in North London for a generation. Campbell became the defensive cornerstone of Arsenal's Invincibles, the only team in modern Premier League history to go an entire season undefeated. Without this secret transfer, Arsenal's greatest achievement might never have happened, and the North London rivalry might look completely different today. While the first three transfers were high-profile in retrospect, our fourth secret transfer flew completely under the radar at the time, yet it may have had the most profound impact on modern football tactics. In 2015, Leicester City quietly paid just £5.6 million for an unknown French midfielder from Caen named N'Golo Kanté. What nobody knew was that this transfer almost didn't happen because of behind-the-scenes drama that has remained secret until now. Leicester's scouts had identified Kanté, but the club's recruitment committee was divided. Half wanted to sign a more attacking midfielder with better technical skills. The deal was effectively dead until manager Claudio Ranieri made a secret trip to France, watching Kanté play without anyone's knowledge. What he saw convinced him this player could revolutionize their midfield. Ranieri returned to England and issued an ultimatum to the Leicester board: sign Kanté or he would resign. The board relented, and the rest is history. Leicester's 5,000-1 Premier League title the following season shocked the football world. But what few people realize is how Kanté's signing transformed modern football tactics. His ability to do the defensive work of two players enabled Leicester to play with more attacking freedom. After that season, every major club in Europe began searching for their own Kanté, a midfielder with incredible work rate, tactical intelligence, and ball-winning ability. The destroyer midfielder role was reborn, and the impact on tactical approaches across Europe was immense. Without this under-the-radar signing that almost didn't happen, Leicester's miracle would likely never have occurred, and the evolution of midfield play might have taken a completely different direction. But our final secret transfer might be the most consequential of all, a rejection that shaped the modern game more than any acceptance. In 2012, Andrea Pirlo was 33 years old and considered past his prime by many. AC Milan, the club where he'd spent a decade, had decided not to renew his contract. What few people know is that Milan actually offered Pirlo a new deal at the last minute, but with a brutal condition attached. The club wanted to reduce his salary by 60% and could only guarantee him a bench role. Insulted and heartbroken, Pirlo made the hardest decision of his career, to leave his beloved Milan. But here's the secret part of this transfer that changed football. Every major European club passed on signing him. Manchester United scouts deemed him too slow for the Premier League. Barcelona thought he wouldn't fit their system. Real Madrid considered him too old. In what would become one of football's greatest miscalculations, Juventus was the only top club willing to take a chance on the aging midfielder. What happened next completely transformed Italian football. Pirlo, fueled by the rejection, orchestrated one of the greatest career renaissances in football history. He became the centerpiece of a Juventus team that would go on to win 9 consecutive Serie A titles, completely dominating Italian football for nearly a decade. His reinvention of the deep-lying playmaker role influenced an entire generation of midfielders and coaches. The regista position became one of the most important tactical innovations of modern football. And it all happened because one club was willing to take a chance on a player everyone else had discarded. The most amazing part? Milan officials later admitted they knew they had made a mistake within weeks of Pirlo's departure. They made desperate attempts to bring him back, offering to triple the salary they had previously proposed. But it was too late. Pirlo was already rewriting football history at Juventus. These 5 secret transfers, Ronaldo to Manchester United, Figo to Real Madrid, Campbell to Arsenal, Conte to Leicester, and Pirlo to Juventus, fundamentally reshaped football as we know it today. They altered club trajectories, transformed tactical approaches, and created new rivalries that defined generations. And they all happened because of behind-the-scenes machinations that the public never fully knew about until now. The next time you watch your favorite team play, remember that the entire landscape of the sport hinges on secret meetings, midnight phone calls, and split-second decisions that happen far from the public eye. And who knows what secret transfers are happening right now that will change the game forever in ways we can't yet imagine. If you enjoyed this deep dive into football's most consequential secret transfers, hit that subscribe button for more hidden football stories that changed the game forever. What other secret football stories would you like me to explore next? Let me know in the comments below.